Good evening and welcome to our Sumter School District Facilities Committee meeting. Today is October the 18th, 2022, and the time is 6 p.m. We first say welcome to all of our administrative staff as well as our committee staff as well as our subcommittee staff member who's joining us this evening. At this time, if we could please pause for a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is held in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. The news media has already been notified, and a copy of the agenda has already been made available to the public. This meeting is open to the public, and the public is welcome to attend in person. All persons wishing to attend the meeting by virtual means may do so via YouTube Sumter School District Board meetings and Sumter School District's Facebook page. Vision: Sumter School District is committed to educating, empowering, and enriching the lives of all students to reach their full potential. Mission: Sumter School District is committed to providing a safe, nurturing, and high-quality educational environment that supports diversity and equips students for local and global success. Tonight's members of the committee is present. Myself, Sean Reagan, Chair of the Facilities Committee. We have Dr. Baker, who's joining us tonight, a member of the committee. Ms. Jones is here, as well as Mr. McLeod. Our subcommittee member that's joining us in person tonight is Mr. Boland. We also have our administrative staff that's joining us, Dr. Wright, our superintendent, Ms. Scott, our administrative manager, as well as some of the other executive team members who are in the audience. Again, thank you and welcome to our meeting. We'll go straight into the agenda tonight, and we'll begin with item 1.1, and we'll now call the meeting to order at this time. Meeting is now called to order. We'll move now to the item number 2.1, approval of the agenda. Upon consensus with no objections, the agenda will stand approved. All right. Item number 3. The consent agenda, 3.1, upon consensus, the approval of the minutes. If we have no objections at this time, the approval of the minutes for the consent agenda will stand approved. All right, we're now down to item number 4, review of facilities, and we actually have 5 number items that are listed under category number 4, review of facilities. We'll go in order. We'll start from item 4.1, cost to change locks on all district facilities. And so at this time, we would probably just get a figure from our administrative staff, but I'll yield at this time either to the superintendent or either our executive director. And you all can take the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Reagan. Each of these committee reports tonight will be presented by various members of our staff, administrative staff, and team here. And so at this time, I will move to turn it over to Mr. Samuel Myers, our Executive Director of Operations, and we'll proceed from there to provide the information requested.
Okay. Good evening, and it's a pleasure to be able to share some information in reference to our facilities committee, and there are a number of different things that we want to share, but we'll start with the cost of changing locks on all district facilities. We don't have a grand figure. However, we have chosen one of our schools that that has the most locks that could be changed on one of them, and that's one of our high schools, and it has 140 lock mechanisms to be changed. Just the cost for parts alone would be around $7,000. The labor in itself would add another $3,200, and that includes we're utilizing our one locksmith and pulling from labor and all of the benefits and everything else. That estimated total just to change that one school would be around $12,000. So we have 29 total facilities. That includes this building and the annex as well. So we could be looking well over $300,000 just to get that done. Now that's just alone for our one person who would be doing that. If we were to bid that out, the cost would be much more of that, and we would have that for you. We'll send that to you, but we don't have that total figure right now. But just alone, that one school would be $12,000 with 140 locking mechanisms to be changed in that one.
And you referenced that's a high school?
That's one of
That's one of our high schools. All right, thank you, Mr. Myers. Committee members, do you have any questions concerning that particular item? Anything you want to add to this particular discussion?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I do have a question. Ms. Myers, when was the last time that the locks were changed in the district?
I don't think there was a complete change of all the locks. I think they've changed locks in several areas. May have broken doors and things like that, but I have no records of every school having their locks changed completely. There are no records that I could find that showed that.
With the one individual who would be doing this work, how long do you anticipate it taking him to complete?
That in itself would be an astronomical amount of time, which means that would add to the cost itself. We're talking about several weeks just on one building alone, because we're talking about older mechanisms, not having all of the parts, having to readjust. So all of those factors would play in that, so it could take him several weeks to do that, and that's why the process itself would be most beneficial to bid it out, and then we're talking about many more weeks to have that done. So it's not a simple task, but it's a much needed task, and one that we will definitely have to take a look at going down the road.
And that particular figure was given for the entire school, meaning the classroom doors?
That's just exterior doors.
Exterior doors?
Yes.
Okay.
Just exterior.
Did you include the gate as well? Don't the high school have like gates before you get to the entrance
They do.
of the school?
They do.
Was that included as well?
No, it's not. Now, one thing that we have to consider if we're talking about something like this, already the need for that is great, because with our schools having had a number of persons to work there and keys have been made, the keys and locks that would be used would be specialized to the district, where you could not get it remade at Simpson's or any of the other hardware places. So that would minimize just running out getting a key cut to be made for a friend or whomever, and we've got keys that are all over the place. So it minimizes all of that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments from committee members? Thank you, Mr. Myers, for that. Item 4.2, metal detectors in our schools, and we'll yield. I think in this particular bullet we were given a couple of attachments so that we could look at as a committee, which reference some of the policies of our local, other school districts around us. So if the committee members have any questions upon or after Mr. Myers have given his comments or information concerning metal detectors, we'll go from there. So we'll yield to you, Mr. Myers, at
Okay.
this time.
Thank you. Metal detectors in our schools have been talked about quite a bit. There's a need. We've talked originally about metal detectors starting at our athletic events, making sure that they're portable ones that could be transferred from the school to the stadiums themselves and utilized in that fashion. We will be visiting several schools near the end of this week in surrounding areas just to see how they operate, look at the various functions, cost, and everything else. And I think that is a plus that we need to see those, and making sure that we can acquire, because once again, we're talking about funds that have to be brought into effect. So if we're going to do that, we want to take a look at how we're going to do it, which schools we're going to utilize first, and the talk has been to utilize them at our stadiums initially just to get that started. So we'll entertain any other questions that you might have, but we are working on that.
Well, in my opinion, I'm thinking, and I can let the committee speak as well, but I think if we take a pilot approach and not worry about the middle school and just focus a little bit on the high school, the 3 high schools that we have, I think that if we do that and do it with a pilot approach, we can see how much the cost would be just for the 3 high schools, and I guess putting them at every entrance, as well as the stadium facilities as well. But that I wouldn't really say start off by putting them all at elementary, middle,
Right.
and all the high school as well. But we can try it out by looking, because they're doing it in Florence and other districts as well, Orangeburg
Sure.
and Richland and Columbia districts as well.
Okay.
So that would be my take on it, just to start with the 3 high schools, I'm thinking.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Committee members?
I don't necessarily have a question about the metal detectors. It was good information that they could gather for us. But I do have a question. It might not be appropriate at this time, Sam, but can you explain the sensors that are being installed at the doorways of wherever they're being installed and the purpose of them, and talk a little bit about that?
A year ago, we partnered with Santee Lynch's, and they're the UV lightings systems that are being installed. We had them installed on all of our school buses. The units themselves are designed to put out rays or a light that would disinfect automatically, especially on the buses, and it would do the same thing for the area where students or student staff or anyone may be walking past. We have had some difficulties with them, and we've called the company, and they're coming to rework those because some of them are inoperable right now, and we want to make sure that we're working simultaneously with Santee Lynch's, because they've been a really good partner in making sure that that could happen. But those units have been working extremely well on our buses, but in the schools there have been some concerns, and they're returning to take care of those problems.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Item 4.3, train and Duke Energy Smart Saver Perspective Program Saving Updates.
Okay, we're going to yield to Ms. Spearman, and she's going to talk to us about training.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The training update I have for you, there are 5 updates. The enveloping process is 98% complete. The second update is that the lighting, the LSI lighting, is completed. Third update, all of the transformers have been completed and accepted by the district. Number 4, we do still have, we're still waiting on inspections for Lakewood and Crestwood HVAC projects. And the final update, control updates are 80% complete. And that is our training update.
Any questions from the committee on training? The first one you mentioned was what? What was that again?
The enveloping sealing process is 98% complete.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Hearing no questions, we'll move now to 4.4, which is our site visits. Do you have anything that you need to say on site visits?
I would just suggest that we start at one of the schools like either Lakewood or Crestwood and then work our way back in.
Okay.
Instead of starting at Sumter High and then going out, then going back out again. So
Okay.
if we could start at maybe Lakewood and Sumter High and Crestwood,
Okay.
that would work.
We'll definitely do that. And we'll just send it out so everybody can know where to go. Those of you who are joining us on Thursday. So just to give a quick update, we'll start back with our site visits. And our site visits will take place on this Thursday. And those are committee members who are able to join us who will be at the 3 high schools, as well as the administrative staff as well. All right. 4.5, facilities update. I believe I can yield back to you all for that one as well. Okay?
We're going to ask Mr. Cato to give us some updates on our facilities. Mr.
Okay.
Cato.
Good to see everybody this evening. We've got different things, different things going on at various schools. Been putting a lot of carpet and LVP in the luxury vinyl plank, and also the VCT in classrooms and whatnot. We've got 17 facilities that we've been able to do throughout the district, working in different areas in those. Security blinds. I've got security blinds ordered for Furman and Pacala at this time. We have handicap accessible walkways. We've had board at Hillcrest at the stadium and also at Lakewood coming around there where someone for handicap we can get off and be able to get to what they need. And we have a new ramp, a new a seating area at Hillcrest for that. And we're also starting this week, I have a company coming in, we're going to start putting handicap accessible bathrooms at the Hillcrest Stadium also. So we have that. We have in painting, we've done painting at the various schools. We got 20 facilities that we've been doing different, classrooms, hallways, different areas that may need it. We're about to put out on bid. I know before Mr. McLeod had asked about some stuff at Furman. We're about to put a bid out for that to get a lot of work done there. HVAC, that is an ongoing thing. We have units ordered for various. We have done with like Ms. Spearman was saying with Train. We've had Crestwood, Lakewood, and right now we're getting that Shaw Heights. We're getting ready to start on, and we got Furman and also Rafting Creek. That's going to be involved in. But on our end of it, we've had units ordered for throughout the whole area, different ones. But one issue that we have with it is parts. A lot of stuff you can't get parts for the older stuff. So I'm trying to phase out the old stuff that's R22 at this time if we find stuff bad, because a lot of stuff, the parts are not only obsolete. If you try right now, and I checked before we came in here, you get a drum R22 out the door, it's $1,620. If you have a unit that's got a leak in it, you got to buy a drum. You automatically got that, and plus anything else you may have in it. So we're trying to just phase them out, as I can, and get that done. And then we've got plumbing. We're doing a lot of plumbing through different areas. We got a lot of with older facilities. We have the cast iron pipes that tend to go bad. Just as y'all remember the project we had to do up here at the DO with that, we had the same issue at Furman a little while back. Had one of the hallways, the pipe had rusted out completely, and I had to get the whole hallway taken out and retiled and everything and get that done. So we're trying to keep a monitor on that as we go along and just keep a watch on them and see what happens and get the work done as we need to. Grease traps. We have grease traps at all our facilities. That had kind of fell to the wayside, and I got a company in that they went in and bid it out and everything, and so I have them working along cleaning out each of our grease traps at all facilities. And what I want to do is get them on a program. Once we get all of them done, so far they've got 11 done, and I've got 4 scheduled this coming week that they're doing. And as we complete it, what I want to get to is where every 6 months they come in and clean them out, because I know at this time the city has a thing where they're checking around with different restaurants and anywhere that has grease traps, you know, be it schools or whatever, and just kind of monitoring it. And it's not at a point right now where they're giving out fines, but I want to be proactive with it, and let's get ahead of it where we're not involved in anything like that. So I've been coordinating with them and getting all that done. We've got fence repairs, you know, at various schools. I think that's a constant thing. Fences get tore up, you fix them, gates get run into and everything, so constantly doing that. We have handrails. I've got handrails being fabricated from Manchester and their gym. That gym's been there. It's an original facility, and so we needed some. So I got a guy's manufacturing some handrails to go in there. Got some ladders and handrails being put up for a Cala on the roof where we can have access for my technicians to safely get up to the units, because when you get up on top of there, you have another level you have to get to, and when you're dragging tools and you're trying to climb up the ladder on the side, it's dangerous, and I want to get that taken care of. And then we also have other facilities I need to get that done too, and I'll continue working on that. We've got that, and also we have the marquee signs going about. We have 9 of them that have been done so far, and we're working on it, doing it in phases. And also, like the one we did at Hillcrest, there used to be I know Dr. Baker remembers, there was a flower bed out there with the monument. There was a monument sign in it from the class of 83 to 84. It was just in disrepair. It looked bad. I went and had it redone, had a frame built for it, so we actually put it in front of the sign. So now it's legible and looks good, you know, and updated and everything. So that's kind of where we're at with everything. If y'all have any questions, be glad to answer.
Well, I just have one about HVAC. Who controls the thermostat at the school? And the reason I ask is I've had several teachers calling, not sure what to call them days for the cooler, but
Yes.
working after hours and no air conditioning.
If they work after hours, all our schools, we have 2 different companies. We have CMI and we have Harris. Harris does the county schools, CMI does the city schools. And that was before we consolidated, it was already set up. So we have set in the perimeters with that. We have the heat set on 70 and cool set on 73. And it's in there, and a lot of it also with the train issue, they have times that it cuts off because you're unoccupied. So unless they let me know that they're having an event or something other, I don't know. And a lot of times they usually let me know the day of something happening after my guys have already gone. And in doing that, the Harris with theirs, you can pull it up on your phone. Like recently in the past year, we had the new cooler and freezer monitors that went out, and those are actually with Harris also. You can pull it up on your phone and monitor it at any time. With CMI, you don't have that capability, so I have to get the guys actually here to where they can set a program in. And it's a lot more complicated. So I'm kind of, working toward wanting to get something going with one vendor instead of having 2 to make it easier. But it all boils down to 2. They have to let us know ahead of time about events.
Time do you need?
I'd like to have at least a week ahead of time, but I mean, if it's an emergency situation, if they call me during that day, we can get the program set in. But it tends to be they got something going on at 7 o'clock, and they'll call me at 5:45 and say, "Hey, can you get this in?" Well, with Harris, I can call our lead technician, Richard Burns. I can call him, Richard Burns Jr. I can say, "Richard, can you go ahead and set this in?" He can go on his phone, get everything done. CMI, he doesn't have the capability. He has to actually come back to get on the school's network. And you take somebody that's already left work, and he might be in Columbia or something other. He doesn't have the capability to come back and do that right then. So,
All right.
yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions? You mentioned fences.
Yes, sir.
Which schools are the fences being replaced?
We've had some. I've done some at Hillcrest. Lakewood's had some. Crestwood.
One of the projects that we're working on is the one at Rafting Creek. It has the largest area that needs to be confined, so that's one. That's one of the main ones we're going to be starting with. Hillcrest is another. Just trying to ensure that we can add a level of safety and protection to the building itself during school days and after hours as well.
And I think you mentioned about the marquee signs.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what which schools are left to be
Yes, sir.
installed?
Phase 3.
We can share this list with you. At the conclusion, we'll make sure everyone gets it.
Okay.
And they're set up in phases, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Mr. Cato. We've done an extensive piece of work to determine which ones need to be done, and we went by the ones that were in worse shape first and the ones who didn't have any at all.
Absolutely.
And our goal is to make sure that all of our schools will have a new marquee by June 2023, before the school year ends.
Thank you.
That is the goal.
I have one more question. I think you mentioned some work being done at Hillcrest Stadium, I believe you said, right?
Yes, sir.
With that work being done, I know this committee talked a little bit about a stadium at Crestwood. Do we still see that as a possibility, or we want to continue with the work that's being done at Hillcrest Stadium? How are we looking for that?
Well, the work at Hillcrest Stadium is putting things in perspective so that we can get the work started at the school itself. They have done a tremendous lot of work at the Hillcrest Stadium because we wanted to make sure that if they can't play at the school, that they have an arena that's going to be respectful and up to speed and looking good. And our crews have done an exceptional job of getting it ready. We will continue to do that. In the interim, we have an engineer who has given us insights as to what we need to do with the field at Crestwood. And with that engineering report, which we have, they've done the surveying and indicating to us that we need to remove X number of feet of dirt and grass from that area so that we can put in the irrigation system. And that in itself is what's needed. So it's going to be an extensive piece of work, and once we've concluded with that, we're going to resurface the track, add more bleachers, new scoreboard, and everything else that's going to make it representative of having a new stadium itself. So it's a lot of work, and we'll keep you posted on the progress of that. But right now, we're going to continue to work at the one at Hillcrest.
Any other questions from the committee members? Any other questions?
Do we have an estimated completion date? Question?
Not yet. Not yet. Our hope is that it would be ready by this coming school year, the new school year, in August of 23. But please don't hold us to that, okay? Because there's a lot of work to be done. Okay.
That is an estimate.
Yes. That's right.
Thank you. We're now down to item number 5, steps moving forward. So 5.1, call for recommendations to the Board of Trustees. Committee members, do you have any recommendations at this time? All right. One recommendation that we can do as a committee, and we'll take it back to the full board, will be to have the discussion and then share the items that was presented with this committee, which were the documents that were shared in 4.2 on metal detectors. So I recommend that this board or this committee decides to take that information back to the full board and share it with the full board and have further discussion on it. With the 3 high schools being the 3 pilot schools that we'll start with looking at metal detectors inside of our facilities. Okay. The second one would be the cost. We'll also share that information once you all provide that. Will be the cost for changing the locks inside of our facilities in the district. So that would be the second recommendation from this committee. Okay. All right. Any other recommendations at this time? Hearing none, we're now down to item number 6, closing of the meeting. Again, thank you all for being here on this evening. Appreciate your time. Appreciate the information that the administrative staff have shared with us on this evening. As we continue to have a successful school year, we hope that all the work that is before us gets done to the best of our ability. Again, thank you for your time this evening, and at this time, I believe it's 6:31. Our meeting now stands adjourned.